Celebrating the connection with our pets. This is Animal Radio, featuring veterinarian Dr. Debbie White, groomer Joey Villani, news director Lori Brooks. And now, here are your hosts, Hal Abrams and Judy Francis.
On the show today, well, just a big show. First of all, it's very hard to top last week's show.
I know.
Where the line of the week, I think, was probably this.
I sell, I call it edible excrement. I sell candy kitten crap and puppy poop.
That, of course, is Susan Olsen.
And it's all very pretty. And I design the artwork on the boxes. I would love for, my poop to just go all over the place and and make tons of money.
There you go. That was Susan Olsen from last week, too.
Susan Olsen was Cindy Brady. You don't think of Cindy Brady talking about.
What done happened to Cindy's career?
I know. It's gone to the
Let me guess,
pooper.
she's single. She's single. Let me guess.
She has a lot of cats, I understand. Today, we're going to talk to Brian Barczyk. Now, he is the snake man. I think he has like 30,000 snakes.
Ugh.
And he has a show on TV and a web show, and we'll speak to him in just a few minutes. Also on the show today, and we talked about this a few weeks back, Mark Gomer. He puts these protection dogs in schools.
Wow.
After the Sandy Hook incident, it came to him that he thought maybe instead of these security guards, maybe if these dogs were in the schools, they would deter these incidences from happening.
Let me just say, we have just begun to tap into the wealth of dogs. People are finally starting to understand that dogs are amazing. Did you see the story last week? This dog was allowed into a surgery. This girl had a surgery done.
Wow.
And the dog was in the operating room because he can detect changes in her body before the machines can. The nurse was saying, this dog knows when there's a change in her blood pressure and there's a change in her stability before the machines tell us.
Now, so
we allowed him in there.
Was this the girl's dog or just a dog that's allowed into different surgeries?
It was the girl's dog, but he's
Wow.
highly sensitive to changes in her body and can detect the changes a minute or two before the actual machines can that are hooked up to her while she's going through a surgery.
Well, don't they say there's dogs that can actually detect some forms of cancer just by sense of smell?
Bladder cancer
that's a fact.
and breast
That's a
cancer.
fact.
Yeah, they can smell.
Now, did you also see, guys, did you see the story of the blind guy, who the old seeing eye dog, and he passed out on the subway tracks, fell on the tracks, and the dog did everything he could to pull him out of harm's way?
Yep.
Just incredible stories. So, yeah, I mean, I've always thought that dogs were the answer to schools. Always thought that they were the perfect solution for everyone.
Hopefully this guy will explain it to me. I know that it costs a lot to put these animals in the schools, and I want to find out all about that in just a couple of minutes right here on Animal Radio. Dogs do amazing things.
They are amazing.
Cats, too, all of our animals, and that's what this show is about. We're celebrating our animals right now. Miss Stacy Cohen, working hard in the Animal Radio newsroom. What do you got?
Well, it looks like in Italy, some pigs are a little ticked off that they aren't being chosen for salami. They protested right outside of Parliament. I'll give you the details coming up on Animal Radio News.
See, pigs are dumb. What other animal's going to protest not being killed and eaten? I mean, what's going on with that?
What, aren't I good enough?
Hey, John, how are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. What's going on?
Well, not much. Just driving through the farmlands in South Georgia right now.
Are you OTR? You truck driver?
No. I'm driving a pickup truck, but not a large truck. No, we're just visiting a friend out here on a farm. We're just going to visit.
Doing the holiday thing. So what's going on? You got problems with your dog, I guess, or cat?
No, my wife and I have been looking for a lab. We want to get a Labrador, and we've been reading and seeing some dogs. They're called apartment-sized labs, or one outfit calls them canoe-size. They're somewhere between the 35 and 45-pound range. They're smaller than, I guess, a standard lab. And I didn't know if that was a particular breed or what. And I'm just trying to find out more information and see if you all knew anything about that.
Well, the one thing that it seems like every breed that I encounter, there's always a goal and an effort to make the mini one. So there's always these like super mini breeds. Now, anything outside of what they call the breed standard for the Labrador is still a Labrador, but it's just outside of the size and the weight standard. But yeah, there are some folks that are striving to try to miniaturize the Labrador because, they like the lab and they're just looking for a smaller dog. It depends on what's important to you. For me, I kind of like the the standard of what a Labrador is. If you're just looking for a smaller dog, I actually look at some of the breed mixes that are out there. At the pound, there's some really wonderful lab mixes you can get that give you that smaller size, but you still get a lot of that quality and the character of the lab. But it's basically kind of the same thing, but some breeders are kind of breeding smaller in an effort to try to get to that zone there.
And Dr. Debbie, don't you have to be careful with, I mean, you really should know a breeder really well, because a lot of them are great, and a lot of them, they'll just breed any two dogs to get an outcome they want over and over and over again, sometimes close in relation. And you get dogs that are predisposed to certain conditions and that are a lot more frail and fragile, don't you?
Well, yeah, and actually in the Labrador Retriever, there is actually a dwarfism gene. So that's a genetic defect. And sometimes when we're breeding for super small along that line, we can actually end up seeing that mutation come up. So unfortunately, I do know of some people that actually wanted a little lab, were looking specifically for it, and they got it. They actually got a dog that was a dwarf. Not necessarily where you want to go, because there's bound to be other types of health problems when you do that kind of narrow focused breeding. I guess depends on, like I said, depends on what you like. I have a small lab. She's 58 pounds. She's very lean.
That's
She's kind
small?
of 58. She is.
Holy moly.
58 is a small lab. Now, my other lab is, 78, 85 pounds, but he's all muscle. And they're very different. They come from different lines. My female comes from a hunt trial line. And, this is the typical, even some of the males were just a little bit larger than that. So a lot, if you look at what the people are breeding, what the size of the animals are through many generations, and then even, if you like little dogs, females generally are about 10 to even 20 pounds, sometimes lighter than the males in the same litter. So that may be one way you get a littler pup as well.
Yeah. Okay. Well, so just be careful with the breeder and maybe look at the female breed and be better off that route.
Yeah.
Just get to know the breeder. Get to know the breeder and how much they care about what they're doing.
Go over to where they are, because, there's some breeders that say, I'll meet you down at Walmart. If they say that, not a good breeder.
And I have to say, the internet-derived dogs, sometimes you can get some fine dogs, but, there are certain lists on the internet that I won't say what the lists are, but sometimes there's a lot of lemons that come out of those lists where you can get a pup offline.
But I can tell you, a lot of people are hung up on the pedigree thing, the one breed. I love mixed breed dogs. You get such great dogs. I had an Airedale Shepherd. I've got a Lab Shepherd now, and it's just, they're so much fun. They're durable, they're smart, they live a long time. You get all kinds of great things when you mix breed dogs and you find dogs like that. You just have to wait until a good litter comes up, and then you just go watch them and spend time with them, and you can figure out which one would be best for you.
Okay. Thanks for the help.
Good luck with that, John. Send us pictures when you get your dog. We want to see.
Will.
Aren't mutts healthier, Dr. Debbie?
In general, yeah, there's something called hybrid vigor, and it's the idea that when you mix two extreme genetic selections and you mix them together, you actually hopefully get the good of both breeds, and you're diluting out the bad of both breeds. So, there's a lot to that. It's not always a precise science, but I'm a fan of mutts. Ever since I got Foss, I'm totally sold on the little mongrels.
Me too. I've never had a single breed dog. They've all been mixed, and it's just so one. You know what? An Airedale Shepherd is absolutely the best dog there is, and that it's so hard to find an Airedale and a German Shepherd that get together. And if you do, what a great dog that is! Oh my gosh, he was such a great dog.
Well, you lucky dog, don't forget you can get your fix of Animal Radio anytime you want with the Animal Radio app for iPhone and Android. It's made possible by Fear-Free Happy Homes, helping your pets live their happiest, healthiest, fullest lives at home, at the vet, and everywhere in between. Visit them at fearfreehappyhomes.com. And thanks, Fear-Free, for underwriting Animal Radio.
Vinny Penn coming at you, your resident party animal on Animal Radio. Can I ask you a question? Why is it that your goldfish always die when you go on vacation? Now, you know what I'm talking about. You've taken care of them all year. You're 6, and you've managed to keep them alive for the past year, and yet you go away for a week and come back, either to the sob story of the year from some relative you never see or friend of your mother's who was given the job of feeding the pet, or B, to a fish that doesn't look remotely like Pokemon, the fish that you left a week before. As a sidebar, that's something right there. If you are going to care for your friend or family member's child's fish, take a look at him. You know, if you're going to so choose to starve him for a week and just figure on replacing him because you're a cold, callous person like that and mom has overlooked that fact during the hiring process, you could still take a look at him so you know what you're replacing him with. Nothing worse for a 6-year-old to come back to find his goldfish and you've replaced him with a piranha. So, yes, please, if you're going to murder the goldfish, replace it with a goldfish. Isn't that a crazy concept? But I don't know what it is. If every time you hear, the fish died, we think Grammy overfed him. Well, I can see that. Grammy overfeeds me every time I stay with her. I didn't know you could really die from that. That's always the excuse, that your goldfish was overfed. Now, this comes from a real place. When I was 6, 7 years old, I had 2 goldfish, Cheech and Chong. When I came back, there was just one big fat fish in the tank. Not 2, 1 big fat, clearly different fish, in which my brother, of course, in a continuing effort to torment me, informed me that Cheech had eaten Chong. But I still didn't buy it since it wasn't even the same color. It took years to unravel the mystery. All of us have that long-standing pet incident from our youth that has taken years to uncover what's going on. And that was it took years finally for my mother's best friend Lenny to say, look, the fish died. I didn't know what to do. I had missed the day. I just went and bought you new fish. Wasn't that nice of me? The classic, well, what about me? You know, I felt terrible. Here you were, my best friend's son, and I killed your fish. What about me? And you're sitting there like, I don't know. What about Cheech and Chong? I'm Vinny Penn, Party Animal, Animal Radio.
If you're living with diabetes and using insulin, you know the pain of pricking your fingers over and over again. Ouch! Well, by wearing a small remote device called a continuous glucose monitor, or CGM, you can reduce the pain of pricking your fingers. If you administer insulin 3 or more times per day or use an insulin pump, call now and learn how a CGM can help you.
Painless. No more pricking my finger.
No finger pricks.
Convenience. They delivered it free and they took care of all the paperwork.
You can reduce pain right away. Plus, it's accurate, easy to use, and helps you spend more time in range. And if you have insurance, you can get a new CGM at little or no out-of-pocket cost. Call now and get free shipping of your new CGM. Plus, we'll bill your insurance for you. 800-785-1673. 800-785-1673. 800-785-1673. That's 800-785-1673.
This is
Animal Radio.
Let's take another call for Dr. Debbie. We have Tony on the phone. Welcome to the show, Tony.
Hi.
What's going on?
I'm calling because my daughter had originally 2 dachshunds, and then she had a litter of 5, then went on to have, and she kept them. Then she went and had another litter of 5. So she had a total of 12, only gave 1 away because she doesn't have the heart to give any of them away.
She doesn't have the heart to give them away? Okay.
No, she loves them dearly, and I don't know. She said that when she was younger, I had given away her dog, and she was very heartbroken, so she quit.
So let me get this straight. You have 11 dogs? Or your daughter has 11 dogs?
Yes.
Oh, my goodness. So the first thing I would say is the benefits of spaying and neutering here. I cannot stress enough that we need to intervene and we need to get some help for her household, because there is no reason to have repeated breedings just for the experience or because she loves dogs. We have to make sure
she didn't want that to happen.
Well, it's going to happen. Dogs do that. They will reproduce when given the option and the opportunity. It is our job as their human caretakers to make sure that doesn't happen. So we need to take those steps. So whether you have to walk her in to a veterinary office and help get her that help that she needs in making that connection and to make that determination. Now some people might be able to keep 11 dogs and to care for them appropriately, but my general feeling is that that is too many dogs for one household, unless you have support. Now, Octomom and, all those people who have multiple births can attest that you need help to take care of that many beings, whether they're human or animal. So that would be my concern. So, we need to.
She does have sometimes, if she has people come in, but I'm still totally against it, and I can't seem to, talk her into giving any away. In the meantime, not to mention the cost, and, I tell her it's selfish because there isn't any way that you could give enough attention to all those dogs either, besides, amongst many other things. But would you say the males should be all neutered or?
Absolutely. That is probably the easiest place to start, is to get those boys taken care of. Now,
rather than the females, right?
Well, that's usually an easier fix, if you will, for many households. So that would be one thing to do. Now, the thing that I think we need to really talk about is that you've mentioned that, these dogs may not be getting the care that they need. Now, dogs are social creatures, and they really do thrive on interactions with people. And it is pretty difficult, if not impossible, for one person to provide that level of closeness and that social bonding that a dog needs to be really happy and to thrive in their environment. So that would be one big selling point that I would say for her. But I will be honest with you. I think we need to get some help for your daughter in the human healthcare field. Because this has tones to me of a possible hoarding situation. And the situation in that veterinary and human healthcare person to help her out and to see, because if I were face to face with her, we could say, okay, why isn't your dog spayed or neutered? Let's go through this. What are the risks? What are the risks of having 11 dogs in the house? Not alone fights, infectious disease, parasite control, all of these things, social situations just due to overcrowding. All of these things play a role, whether we want to look at them and recognize them or not. They will be there.
Right. Parasites is something I also read that the owners, the humans, can contract them from their pets.
Absolutely. It is totally possible. So, and that's why there's communities that have animal ordinances. There are regulations, so you don't have 25, 40 dogs because it's hard to meet their needs, and it can be a human health care risk. So, I think we really need to not worry about hurting her feelings. We really need to worry about getting those pets out of there and then hopefully getting the help that she needs to recognize this behavior and, hopefully turn that around there.
Good luck with that. We appreciate your call today and wish you all the best of luck. It's a tough situation you have to deal with there, but I know you're going to do the right thing.
Yes, I really thank you for your help, and I'm going to, try to resolve this, hopefully.
Let us know how it goes.
Okay.
It's Alan Cable. Have you heard about Doga?
Good boy.
It's a new yoga class for you and your dog. Robin's a dog trainer in New Jersey. Her friend Karen, a yoga instructor.
I knew that I enjoyed it, and when Robin and I were practicing with our own dogs together, we noticed the benefits on our own dogs.
Pretty interesting. A yoga class you can take with your dog.
It's been wonderful.
That might work for some dogs. Others like to chase things and run around. The most common behavioral problems I hear about are jumping, excessive barking, chewing, going to the bathroom in the house, attention-seeking all the time, and hyperactivity. Most of the time, it's because folks don't understand their dogs. Dogs are always looking for your attention. Positive attention, negative attention, they don't care. Take the dog that goes ballistic whenever somebody walks by the window, or he sees a bird or a car, a leaf, his own nose in the reflection. What do most people do when that happens? Well, they react to it, of course. They start having a conversation, or sometimes they get angry and start yelling. But what they're really doing is giving their dog attention. They're teaching the dog that every time he barks at the window, he's going to get attention. So he keeps doing it. Another big concern for people is hyperactivity. Dogs are like marathon runners. They're athletes. Dogs need to get their energy out. They're meant to run and jump, wrestle around. It's how they release energy. It's their nature. They have to do it. And if they don't have a way to do it, well, you're going to have trouble. A tired dog is a happy, calm, relaxed dog. And a tired dog is also a calm dog owner. Your dog needs daily exercise, structure, which means rules, and a very important element is attention, when and how you give it. Here's another example. Let's say your dog is outside in the yard barking at somebody walking past the fence. You start going kooky, yelling at him, telling him to stop. Because dogs are pack animals, it's most likely he thinks you're actually joining in. You're barking and yelling at the person walking by on the other side of the fence too. Living with a dog is like living with another person. You've got to learn to understand them, what their behavior says and what it means, and the proper way to respond to it. Get more tips at animalradio.com.
Need a fix of the good stuff? Get more Animal Radio with the free Animal Radio app for iPhone and Android.
Do you travel with your dog?
Of course. My pets are part of our family.
Me too. I take Daisy with me everywhere. Right, Daisy? So how do you find out what hotels welcome your dog?
I read Fido Friendly, the travel and lifestyle magazine for you and your dog.
Sounds perfect for planning our next vacation. Right, Daisy?
It is. Their motto is leave no dog behind, and they have great hotel and destination reviews.
Where can I find the magazine?
Go online to FidoFriendly.com.
I will for sure. Come on, Daisy. We're off to find our next adventure.
This is an Animal Radio News Update.
I'm Stacey Cohen for Animal Radio. Pigs were rallying outside the Italian parliament. They all got together because farmers are upset about so-called fake salami that isn't made in Italy. The farmers brought the pigs to the city as an act of protest. Italian farmers paraded small little pink pigs outside of Parliament, declaring they were being driven to ruin by hams and salami that were sold as made in Italy, but actually produced elsewhere. The agriculture sector has long been in decline in the Eurozone's third largest economy. Farmers say it's undermined by counterfeit products and low-quality foreign food that's merely processed in Italy. The farmers were urging passerbys to adopt one of the pigs. The group says the meat production industry provides about 105,000 jobs in an economy where unemployment's at a record high. So they've launched a campaign to encourage Italians to buy national products. Dozens of whales have been stranded in shallow water in Florida's Everglades National Park, and they finally have moved to deeper water.
They seem to be diving well and breathing well, which are all really good things, and they're headed in the right direction.
Liz Strafford with NOAA and other wildlife officials are cautiously optimistic that the remaining whales will find their way to deep open water after nearly a dozen died in the mass stranding. Scientists monitoring them say whales stay together so the move toward deeper water could actually help their chance for survival. Well, a chef in China's on the mend after he was poisoned while preparing a meal of snake meat, everybody's favorite. According to China Daily, he was cutting the head off a cobra at a restaurant in southern China when the snake's venom hit him in the face. Can you imagine that? If you were at Benihana's and they start chopping up this snake meat or whatever. I guess Benihana's just serves fish, not snake meat. At least here in the U.S. Doctors later explained that the venom can enter somebody's bloodstream through the eyes or through cuts, which explains why the chef's eyes immediately started hurting and his lower jaw began to swell. He was rushed to a nearby hospital where doctors were able to save him with timely treatment. I'm Stacey Cohen. Get more animal breaking news at animalradio.com.
This has been an Animal Radio News Update. Get more at animalradio.com.
It's Alan Cable with real dogs doing amazing things. This one only weighs 10 pounds.
Me and my little sister were making mud pies, and I hear a hiss and a rattle, and I look down and there's a snake.
These two kids were inches away from a venomous rattlesnake.
He was already curled up.
He was coiled and ready to strike, and he tried to, but his bite missed its mark.
Tycho, he got in front of me, and the snake bit him.
This little 10-pound dog took a rattlesnake bite in his right eye.
He saved her life.
This family is so thankful. All they can do now is wait for the swelling to go down to see if the dog's eye will be okay. Another amazing story out of Baltimore when police were called about a vicious pit bull. Folks said he was terrorizing the neighborhood. The officer who responded is a dog lover, and he followed the pit bull into an alley. All the dog wanted to do do was lick him. The officer got into the back of the patrol car with the dog, and they drove him to the shelter. But when they got there, he couldn't turn the dog in. He brought the dog home to his other 2 dogs, and they all seemed to be getting along just fine.
This is
Animal Radio. You're listening to Animal Radio. Here's Hal and Judy.
You know, a couple of weeks back, Stacy was talking about putting dogs into schools. Schools like, for instance, after the Sandy Hook tragedy, you think about, do they put metal detectors in? What are the best ways to protect the kids? And this guy, Mark Gomer, you train dogs to go into schools. Tell us what you're involved with and how you play into this.
Well, after the Sandy Hook shooting, my son and I were talking. I've been training dogs for the last 20 years in Cincinnati, and we were talking about, how that could have changed the whole situation there. We know what we can do with these dogs and what they're able to do. So we went to Oak Hill School District here in Cincinnati, and that's where my kids go, and they loved the idea. So we jumped on it right away. Got a dog ready for Oak Hills, and everything's been going great ever since.
Well, I guess the first thing that comes to mind, why wouldn't the dog be just as much danger as any of the kids? Why couldn't the gunman shoot the dog?
Well, I mean, that's always a possibility, but these dogs are fast. They're not that big, dogs. We use the Dutch Shepherds and the Belgian Malinois. But they're fast, they're agile. In a situation like that, there's going to be a lot of chaos. I don't think that shooter is going to necessarily be focused automatically in on the dog. It is the dog's job to, create an obstacle, to create a problem for the shooter. But these dogs have been put through that situation with the shooter over and over again in training.
Is the dog been trained really to detect firearms, or has it been trained to deal with incidences like after the firearms have already entered the school?
What these dogs are trained to do is search for drugs and firearms in lockers, backpacks, book bags, that kind of thing on a daily basis. And then if anybody were to come in there shooting, they've been put through that situation over and over again. They know who they're supposed to take out.
So how many dogs do you have at a school at one time, and are they there through the entire school day?
Well, these schools are actually purchasing the dog. So the dog is part of the staff now, at the school. So they're there all day long, all week long.
When I was a kid, I was really afraid of dogs. And I'm actually thinking this would have been a real distraction for me in school.
Well, schools, especially high schools, they're no stranger to having dogs in there for the handicap. Oak Hills also has a seeing eye dog for a girl there that's blind. So, they get used to it. Everybody at the school loves Atticus. He's kind of like a celebrity there now. But, after a couple weeks, things calm down, and he's just kind of a normal fixture there at the school. It's not a big deal.
Yeah.
Are there any kids that are allergic to dogs? What happens in that instance?
Well, we get asked that question a lot. We haven't run into any problems at Oak Hills. If there ever was a situation like that, we would know which students and which areas to stay away from.
It's funny. You're doing exactly what I thought should be done many, many, many years ago. And, people are so reluctant to having dogs in public places, restaurants, buildings, offices, things like that, and it's starting to change. But who manages the dog? Who's the person responsible for his care and for managing him, in the school?
There's 2 people up at Oak Hills that manage Atticus. Atticus is the dog up there. The principal, he goes home with the principal, so he actually lives with the principal's family, goes to work with them every day. And there's a gentleman there that was already a hall monitor that took over the position to handle Atticus. So there's 2 main handlers up there.
Nobody's going to protect you better than a dog. Nope. I mean, if you really think about it, it's probably the best form of protection that they can ask for.
Let me lay it out the way I see it, and maybe you can edify this for me. You're a for-profit business, not a non-profit. You make your money doing this. And you had mentioned earlier that you charge the schools for this. And I know that it costs at least $10,000 to train these dogs, sometimes upwards of $15,000. We already have a real taxed schooling system where teachers are being laid off. There are so many kids per teacher, you really don't learn anything anymore. What I want to know is, where are they going to find the money and the dollars to bring these dogs in, and how much does it cost?
Well, this is to do this right, and you gotta realize this is a brand new thing. I mean, it's we've had police dogs, we know what they do. We have seeing eye dogs. We have a lot of different types of jobs. But this is a very special job. These dogs have to be extremely socialized, stable. They have to be able to do the bite work, but still love people. They have to be conditioned to the school settings, bells, marching bands, things like that. It's a 2-year process. For that 2-year process, and these dogs should be able to work for the next 8 years, at the school. So when you break it down, it's very inexpensive compared to the other options that can't even come close to this. But $50,000 is what we're charging the school to get this done.
Wow.
Yeah, and for teachers, that's actually like a couple of salaries.
Yeah, it's a 1-year salary, really. And if you were going to hire an armed guard, you're going to pay that armed guard $70,000-$80,000 per year, and that's every year. And that's still not what this dog can do. This dog can search the whole premises every day. And see, these students up at Oak Hills, they see this dog actually searching their lockers, their backpacks, their book bags every single day, So even, and I'm all about the police dogs out there, but even a police dog, they might show up once or twice a year.
Right.
Well, these students know that, and they know, well, if that dog just showed up, it's probably going to be another few months at least that they have to do what they want to do before they got to worry about it again. This dog's there every single day.
Let's give out the website. It's schoolprotectiondogs.com, schoolprotectiondogs.com, and you can learn more about that. Now, if someone wants to get dogs into their school, what is the process they have to go through?
Well, the process they go through is to contact me, and there is a number, on that website. They would just contact me. We would have some conversations first about everything that's going on. We would try to get out there as quickly as possible to do a demonstration with one of the dogs for the school board and the superintendent, people that would be making the decisions. And then hopefully soon after that, they would be able to raise the funds, which back to the other question, these schools are getting very creative as far as raising the funds for these. There's fundraisers, there's grants out there. I think that the school should be one of the safest places in the world for these kids to be, and right now it's the opposite.
You bet. Boy, they never had metal detectors when I was a kid. Whole different world. Yeah. Mark, thanks so much for your time today. Once again, the website, schoolprotectiondogs.com, and we'll put links to everything you've heard on today's show over at animalradio.com.
The guy's genius. He's gonna be so rich.
How would you like to save money on nearly all your prescription drugs? We've set up a special toll-free number for the RX Outreach Program. They're a nonprofit company whose mission it is to make prescription drugs more affordable to the masses. They don't take insurance, and in many cases, your prescriptions are even cheaper than your co-pays. They carry thousands of different prescription drugs, so whatever you're taking, there's a good chance they have it. No coupons are required, and this is not a discount card. It is pure savings on your prescription drugs. They specialize in generic meds for any chronic health needs you have. Call with your prescription and find out for free how little you can pay for your prescription drugs. Remember, we don't take insurance, so call right now.
800-689-0143. 800-689-0143. 800-689-0143. That's 800-689-0143.
Live at the Red Barn Studios, you're listening to Animal Radio. Here's Hal and Judy.
And let's take a call for Dr. Debbie. We have Jan. Hey, Jan, welcome to the show.
Hi.
How are you? What's going on with your animals?
I'm doing okay, but I have a couple of problem children. One is an 8-year-old male. All my animals are fixed and declawed.
Male what? What kind of critter?
Cat. Sorry.
Kitty, all right.
I have lots of kitties. 4 at present, and that's probably the top number we'll keep with for a while. Jackie is an 8-year-old male, neutered, and we recently took in a cat that was left behind. The people moved out and left her, and she was freezing to death. So we've brought her in, and she is fixed, declawed as well, and probably 4 years old. The other 2 cats is pretty much gotten used to her. She's getting used to them. Jackie is actually stalking her and attacks, and not in a nice way. He is vicious. I've never seen this kind of behavior.
Okay, so when he attacks her, is there fur flying? Is there actually a physical altercation, or is it more vocal?
Oh yeah, when they're engaging in the fight, they're you know.
Alrighty, and then after they get done fighting, what's going on? What do the kitties do?
She usually runs down to the basement where she hides, and she jumps through a hole that goes underneath the house, and she hides there for a while and comes out.
All right. Ugh. Well.
Yeah,
this is
ugly.
This is a lot of fun. Now, you said you have other kitties, so you have 4 cats right now, correct? Yeah. Okay. Mm-hmm. Now, this might be a little bit more simplistic answer if we only had 2 kitties in the home. But in all honesty, you might not have the same problem when we only have 2 kitties in the home. Because when we add more cat personalities into the house, that's when we can have more opportunity for these inner cat social issues. So if we're at 1 cat, 2 cats, sometimes third cat will see something tipping the balance of things. Adding in a 4th cat and more, you have a greater risk of this kind of thing happening. Now, it is possible that these 2 cats have something between them that we may not be able to help. So it's very similar to having a college friend that you share an apartment with that you just can't get along with no matter how hard you try. So in some cases, I always keep that in the back of my mind that you can't ask a cat to behave like a non-cat. But from what you're saying, with an aggressor cat, when there is actually a physical aggression towards another cat and the other cat is anxious, nervous, fearful, there's some different steps that we can try. Now, the first thing to recognize is that sometimes the fearful behavior can actually make the aggressor attack. So a cat that cowers or hisses in the response to a impending attack actually can trigger that. So in a lot of cases, we'll work on focusing on the aggressor, but sometimes we'll kind of switch the balance and go the other direction. So generally, my recommendation is to really kind of limit these 2 kitties' interactions, if at all possible, because you really... Exactly. It's very hard. Cats have a very good memory. They're like elephants, and they're going to recall that, hey, yesterday there was this thing that happened between us. I'm still pissed at you, man. I'm going to take you down. So my guideline is 3 to 5 days of kitty time out in between altercations. But then we really got to do some steps in the meantime. So some of the things that we might do, one of the simplest things I would do is see about getting a breakaway collar with a bell on Jackie. And that can help the more passive kitty to know when he's coming and to take little retreat steps if necessary. Very important, because if her personality is such that she doesn't really want to have a lot of interactions with him, we're not going to make her. So the safest thing is to give her that opportunity to kind of get out of the way. And then certainly I'm a fan of pheromones, those natural scent hormones that can have a calming behavior. That benefits everybody in this situation. Now,
I can tell you what I've tried so far.
Okay.
I have tried Rescue Remedy, and he was okay with that for a little while, but as soon as it wears off, there he goes, back into action.
Okay.
And we had him on kitty Prozac for a couple of months, and that was almost a bigger fight getting him to take that than the fight between the cats.
Yeah. Oh, golly.
I've tried exchanging scented socks. I put a sock in his bed and one where she lays, and then exchange it, so that they're getting used to each other's scents, and it's not working. I have had cats all my life, and always multiple cats. I have never, ever encountered anything like this. It's freaky.
Yeah, and it's very powerful when it does occur. And it sounds like you've done a lot of the right things, and definitely a good medical workup is always advised if we've got cats that say have been together for a while and then we have some fighting. If we've got a new introduction, at least we've got some trigger point there that we're really working on. And there are other medications that I will often tap into besides Prozac. Sometimes the reality is that I mentioned when we treat the aggressor, what we perceive as the aggressor cat, with a medication, it can sometimes help. It can sometimes make things worse. And in some cases, we'll actually shift gears and medicate the cat with the anxiety. And we might try an alternate medication to help a cat who has an anxiety disorder, who's really fearful, and help them to kind of be more confident. And sometimes that helps to take their responses of that kind of trigger that cat to leap and to bound, and that can help in that way. So that might be the alternate way that we go along using things.
Yeah.
But yeah, the reality is, it sounds like you got a lot of the great ideas. The hard thing is doing a full separation when you've got all those cat personalities in the house, and to really be, you know, faithful, because if we do a separation for kitties, it's, you know, we keep them apart, and we only start to put them closer together once there's good things, like, you know, we feed them outside of the doors. If there's any signs, little ears back, swishing tail, or they're chomping on their food too fast, those are signs they're not comfortable with the situation, and I don't like to push that reintroduction any faster.
This has been very slow.
No, we wish you the best of luck with that. It sounds like it's a tough problem to deal with. We know about that. We have a lot of cats here. Fortunately, they all get along. We're counting our blessings here, Jan. Let us know how that turns out.
I will.
I appreciate it. Thank you for your call today, and thanks for listening to Animal Radio.
How would you like to save money on nearly all your prescription drugs? We've set up a special toll-free number for the RX Outreach Program. They're a nonprofit company whose mission it is to make prescription drugs more affordable to the masses. They don't take insurance, and in many cases, your prescriptions are even cheaper than your co-pays. They carry thousands of different prescription drugs, so whatever you're taking, there's a good chance they have it. No coupons are required, and this is not a discount card. It is pure savings on your prescription drugs. They specialize in generic meds for any chronic health needs you have. Call with your prescription and find out for free how little you can pay for your prescription drugs. Remember, we don't take insurance, so call right now.
800-689-0143. 800-689-0143. 800-689-0143. That's 800-689-0143.
Celebrating the connection with our pets. This is Animal Radio, featuring veterinarian Dr. Debbie White, groomer Joey Villani, news director Lori Brooks. And now, here are your hosts, Hal Abrams and Judy Francis.
I've already broke my New Year's resolutions. I don't know why I even dare every year.
See, I never break mine.
Because you never make?
Well, no, I do make one.
Do you?
Yes.
What is it?
Not to make one.
Ah, that's smart. You see, Alan, that's why she's in charge.
Yes.
Yeah, there's somebody here with a brain.
On the show today, Brian Barczyk. He is the snake man. He has about 30,000 snakes under his roof. That would be scary for me. But
I can't imagine. It'd be a nightmare.
Yes.
Let me guess.
Yes.
He's single.
Lots of ladies like snakes.
Yeah, he
it's kind
may
of a turn on.
not be single.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
I'll have to introduce you to a few of them. they have the cobras tattooed on their back. I'm telling you, it's a big... If you're one of these ladies, I want to hear from you right now. You like snakes? You like guys with snakes?
Yeah, I don't think there's much of a calling for that website. The Guys with Snakes dating website.
Before we go back to the phone, Stacy, what are you working on?
The world has lost a fat cat. A real fat one, unfortunately. I'll tell you, it was a celebrity. He actually had a treadmill. I'll give you all the details coming up on Animal Radio News.
I don't know. So many cats come to mind when I think about that.
I don't know.
It wasn't that cat we just spoke to recently, was it?
We spoke to a cat.
The big fat cat?
I don't know.
Hey, Kevin.
Hi.
How you doing?
I'm doing great.
What's going on in your world?
I have a rescue Leonberger. In case you don't know what they are, they're an old 170-year-old breed.
Wow.
That was the first dog that they know that was designed for looks. He's supposed to look like a lion, but they're big. He's full grown 150-pound dog, and when he wants to make noise in the car, and he used to ride really good in the van when we first brought him. And now it seems like he doesn't like being in the van unless we're playing Rubber Soul or whatever from the Beatles. And he howls. He'll start singing or howling and whining and crying and trying to get up front to us. And we were wondering how we could calm that down.
Well, when did the dog start not liking being in the van? What would you say? Can you remember that day?
And we brought him home with the 2 female Leonbergers from Cheyenne, Wyoming, and then sometime after that, a couple weeks after that, he started wanting to move up to us.
Well, so the dog is in the van, and every time you go somewhere, the dog just wants to come up front with you.
Yeah, basically. And then okay,
and I have some questions. The dog wants to come up with you, and then what do you do?
Well, we used to holler at him to go back, but then we realized that's not working, and so we started playing Rubber Soul from the Beatles.
And so he stays in the back when the song is on, but he howls.
No, he'll calm down for a little while. He'll calm down a little while then because we turn it up.
He's distracted, so you're distracting him with the music is what you're doing. So basically what you have to do is, I don't know when it happened, but the dog has got some sort of bad association with being in the back of the van, wants to be close to you, wants to be close to the pack. So you have to let the dog know that it's okay to be back there and make it a pleasurable experience. And the way to do that is over time. Everything takes time in the dog world. Nothing happens overnight. And the best motivation for a dog, of course, is pleasure, and pleasure means treats and affection. So what I would start doing is I would start taking the dog in the van when it's not going anywhere. You're just sitting in the driveway, and you're going to take the dog in the van, and you're going to give the dog affection in the van, and also feed the dog treats in the van. And then after about a week or two of doing that, maybe once a day for about 15, 20 minutes, just hanging out in the back of the van, you're going to move to the front of the van and let the dog stay in the back. And every time the dog comes near you, you have to ignore the dog, and then you have to just sit there. Just sit there. And when the dog decides to, on his own, walk far away from you, gets bored being next to you or trying to get close to you, that's when you say, "Good dog, downstay," if you've taught the dog to go downstay, and feed the dog a treat. Your next move is to start the van and let the dog run in the driveway while you sit in the front seat, and you give the dog a treat for staying in the correct position in the back of the van where the dog belongs. And the dog will learn that that's a nice spot, that that's a pleasurable spot, that good things happen there. And then you can try taking a short ride, and you're going to go for a ride to a place where the dog's going to have fun. That's another key. So if there's a dog park or a place your dog loves to go, or maybe the dog loves to go on walks, the first trip you're going to make after you do all this is to a place where that dog is going to have a great time being with you or with other dogs. So the dog will associate the van and being in the back with nothing but pleasure. And that's how you change behaviors where dogs are anxious, or where dogs, they just are not happy where they are, or they're miserable, or they're scared. You have to create a positive connection in the dog's brain. A happy connection, a good connection, a good association.
Alan, I wanted to chime in for a second because as a veterinarian, I have seen dogs that become very phobic about car travel. And a lot of times when we're talking about a van, it can be that they're unsecured. So having a dog flopping around in the back of a van or an SUV where they're losing their footing, they're slipping, they're injuring themselves, it can be very frightening.
So are you suggesting a crate or something like that?
Either a crate or a dog seat belt, or somewhere where that dog feels secure. Even a dog
crates
bed.
are good. Crates are a great idea. And that's a great point. And, in my experience with dogs in cars, most dogs are smart enough to figure out, that if they don't lay down, they're going to get tossed around. And you're right. Especially in the beginning when they're small, that can create a really scary negative association. So a crate is a great idea until your dog starts to associate the van with, hey, I'm going someplace fun, and hey, this is a great thing because good things happen here. A crate is a great idea.
He's very much into being up in there because, see, we live in a motor coach, and so we do travel around a little bit. But what I do is I use the back end has their kennel. I have 2 dogs, and they're very quick to get in there, and I can leave the back door open, and they don't leave that kennel.
I didn't know you were in a motorhome, and it sounds like your dog has a little bit, without being there, I don't know, but your dog probably has a little bit of separation anxiety, being as though he's not comfortable being away from you. So if he's comfortable in the crate, that's your solution. That's a great solution. And what you do is every 10, 15 minutes you visit the dog, while he's in the crate, while you're, riding around in that thing, and you give the dog a treat and a little bit of affection. Unless he's making noise, then you ignore him. But a motorhome's a different thing than a van. I was picturing a van with seats in my head.
Oh, I have a van, and I use it as a kennel when we need to have more space to be able to get things done, like clean the house or whatever. I open up the van, tell him to jump in, he jumps in. I have really good voice control over him, and I've been listening to you guys for the last year or so, and I've picked up on a lot of things. I could walk him down the street now without ever leashing him because he'll stay with me, okay, because of you guys learning, what I need to do and how I need to control him and that. So I thought I'd call you up because that's the only area that he messes up now is when we're driving down the road, and I have to play Rubber Soul. That's the way we ignore him.
How did you discover he likes the Beatles? I mean, that's...
Well, we like it, and every time when my wife would get tired of hearing him howl, she would slam in that Rubber Soul and play it, and he just calms right down. And I think he likes the stuff my wife likes. Okay, well, we're going to try the crate deal next and see if we can maybe calm him down some more on the crate.
I think that's a good idea. Please drive carefully and be safe. Alan Cable's our dog trainer. Just call him Kibble. Dog father Joey Villani. Animal communicator Joy Turner. Veterinarian Dr. Debbie. And Stacy Cohen, our news director. We're all here for you.
You're listening to Animal Radio. Call the Dream Team now with the free Animal Radio app for iPhone and Android.
This is an Animal Radio News Update.
I'm Stacy Cohen for Animal Radio. Ever have a day where you just want to hang with your dog? You want to run errands and go do things, but then you wonder, gosh, can I take my dog there? Well, the Fido Factor, made by the company Appetite, is an app, and it'll let people know which places allow dogs, whether it's a department store, restaurant, bar, just about any place else. In addition, the app will give you specific rules for each place, so you'll know things like the leash rules or the fees you have to pay. And if you find a new location that allows dogs, you can add it to the app's website, fidofactor.com, and let others know where it is, and then write a review so everybody will know if it's really a dog-friendly place or not. You can get reviews of each location, see if it's worth really bringing your dog there, because just because a place says it allows dogs doesn't necessarily mean it's a great place for your dog to be. To find a dog-friendly location, you can either search by business name or the type of location and get things like directions, hours of operation, and the place's phone number. It's kind of like a Surrey for dogs. Fido Factor allows you to take photos of your dog at these locations and then upload them so everybody else can see it. The Cheyenne Mountain Zoo is offering some cold weather discounts. They're trying to get people to come while the temperatures are frigid. It's a pretty good idea. A lot of zoos are doing this. Spokesperson Erica Meyer says it's a great time to visit because there aren't a lot of people around.
You can still go inside. You can feed the giraffes. You can go in the elephant barn and see what our elephants are up to.
Many of the animals just enjoy being outside even in the winter weather. The discount's $2, and just by using the password chili at the gate, you can get in. Well, remember Buddha, the obese gray and white cat whose diet and exercise plan made him a viral sensation? Unfortunately, that cat died of congestive heart failure. He was only 6 years old. The cat inspired people around the world with his jaunts on an underwater treadmill, along with a diet plan, and it helped him whittle down to his 31.4-pound weight. Nashville's Cat Shop, which actually helped care for the cat, wrote on its website, "It's our hope that Buddha will not have died in vain. We hope that his story inspires owners of obese cats to help him get on a path to a healthier weight." Buddha was dropped off at Animal Control in Nashville in August after his owner died. Realizing the overweight cat's health was at risk, volunteers took Buddha to Cat Shop, where the cat began his weight loss journey. It's kind of like a Biggest Loser for cats. Video of the cat working out on his special treadmill was shared around the world, and it made Buddha a celebrity. He will be surely missed. Boy, there are some pictures of him. That was a fat cat. Looked kind of like a little cow. I'm Stacy Cohen. Get more animal breaking news at animalradio.com.
This has been an Animal Radio News Update. Get more at animalradio.com.
If you're living with diabetes and using insulin, you know the pain of pricking your fingers over and over again. Ouch! Well, by wearing a small remote device called a continuous glucose monitor, or CGM, you can reduce the pain of pricking your fingers. If you administer insulin 3 or more times per day or use an insulin pump, call now and learn how a CGM can help you.
Painless. No more pricking my finger.
No finger pricks.
Convenience. They delivered it free, and they took care of all the paperwork.
You can reduce pain right away. Plus, it's accurate, easy to use, and helps you spend more time in range. And if you have insurance, you can get a new CGM at little or no out-of-pocket cost. Call now and get free shipping of your new CGM. Plus, we'll bill your insurance for you. 800-785-1673. 800-785-1673. 800-785-1673. That's 800-785-1673.
Need a fix of the good stuff? Get more Animal Radio with the free Animal Radio app for iPhone and Android.
Oh, admit it. You're one of those people. Cat dictates where you sleep in your bed because you don't want to wake them. Yeah, sure, the cat and the dog both sleep exactly where you'd like to sleep. And sure, you get no sleep, but you're not bitter because you love those animals dearly.
You don't dare disturb them.
Of course not. It's Animal Radio. If you're like me, not bitter because the animals can sleep anywhere in your bed.
Slip.
Then you're listening
Truth
to the
comes out here, Hal. It
right
comes
radio
out now.
show. Yes. Hi, Brian. How are you doing?
Good. How are you doing? I'm just laughing at that because, my cat dictates where I sleep when I go home.
Well, you'll be like a pretzel, won't you, in bed? Round your cat, won't you?
Oh, yeah, and I'm always reminded when I was younger, I heard a story about Buddha and how he was late for a meeting because he wouldn't disturb a cat that was sleeping on his robe, so he had an aide cut the robe around the cat.
Oh, my God.
Oh, I love it. That's a great story. Look that one up, Guido. I want to share that with the kids. How can we help you today, Brian?
Well, I had called a while ago about my cat, and the thing is I drive a truck for a living, and you guys were really awesome. You actually sent a book to my ex-girlfriend who my cat is living with,
cool.
And it's been really helpful to her, and she really appreciates it, in understanding cats, because she's never been around any, so that was really great.
Good. Well, great.
But my question is this. I drive a truck for a living, and my cat's an older cat, and she hates to be in any vehicle, and I just don't want to put her through the trauma of getting used to being in the truck. So I was thinking of getting a kitten, but I was wondering if there was any advice you had on getting a cat used to riding in a truck.
Oh, sure. Yeah, definitely. Part of that is actually going to become part of your kitten training. And we kind of scratch our head. We don't really train kittens, do we? Dogs, we do train as puppies. But kittens, you basically are going to make her sensitized to this kind of travel. So litter box habits, that comes easy. You don't have to train that. But what we'll do for training for travel is we're going to start very simple. We're going to start first off with, now I got to ask you first of all, do you want her having free roam of the cab, or are you going to actually have her in kind of a confined little area?
Nope, free roam. The old thing, dogs have owners, cats have a staff, and the cat gets free roam. She'll run the truck, pretty much.
Well, basically, we're going to it helps if we have a home base that we can acclimate her to. So if you have a cat bed that we can get her used to, we're going to try to ask her to try to get comfortable in that when we start training her for the car. So basically, that will be her favorite spot. You're going to treat her there. You're going to give her yummies. You're going to give her love in that place. And then you're going to take that with you into the cab. And you might start even with a smaller vehicle, so it's easier to just do short little bouts. But basically, we're going to do just starting up the engine, getting it warm, making the sounds, and maybe just driving just a little bit, going forward and back, and that's it. We treat, we reward during that, and that's our exposure. We build up on that positive experience. Because it's a short trip, it's not likely to be scary for her, and because you're there and you're giving her yummies, it's going to be a good association. So you're going to have to gradually build up to that, from just kind of going into the vehicle to going a little bit further to making short little trips or errands. So that's how we basically build up to a cat that is going to like to travel. And the other thing that really helps is that if you're picking out a kitten, we're going to look for one that's, we kind of talk about this every week, it seems, the cat dog. You're going to look for one that's a little bit more laid back, that's not as apt to startle with sounds or uncertain things. Having a personality for travel helps tremendously. We can only train so far, so we want to make sure that we kind of work on both picking the right kind of kitty and gradual exposure to the travel experience.
So laid back is like an indicator of a personality that'll enjoy the travel and all that.
Mostly what it indicates is that we'll be less apt to be startled by other vehicles flying by, horns, noises, things that we don't think about as we're traveling, but can be very scary for a pet that's not exposed to that. And actually, that's probably step 2 of your training for travel, is that we want low-level noises that you're going to experience on the road, and the kitty's going to be exposed to, and we want to make that something that becomes part of the training too. So, simply having an audio tape of some of these things, and while you're just practicing these short little travel bouts, having that playing and having it being non-scary, because some pets really get freaked out when those other big rigs go flying by.
Oh yeah,
so,
yeah. Okay, excellent.
So,
well,
yeah.
I really appreciate your help and advice. You guys have been
Oh, my
great.
pleasure.
I learn everything every week when I listen.
I know. I listen every week, and it's amazing. It's if I miss a week, I just feel totally out of the loop. That's what I'm...
Well, my ex-girlfriend, I had a real quick story if I can.
Yes.
Last time I was home to visit, she has a Pomeranian that I call Rat Dog. And she told me, she says, you need to talk to your friends on Animal Radio because they would not like what you do to her.
Oh,
well,
what do you do?
Well, when we first got together, she had hardwood floors, and of course you got to wing the Pomeranian across the hardwood floors. And I would set up her toys like a little bowling thing, and I call it Pomeranian bowling.
Sure.
And when I come over now to visit my cat, when I go through Columbus, her dog will bring her toys out and set them up.
Well, there's actually a Pomeranian bowling league, so that
I was thinking of getting into one,
Okay, we're just joking, ladies and gentlemen. I just want to point it out right now.
Don't do
we're just
this
joking.
at home.
Yes.
Again, thanks a lot.
Hey, don't forget, you can get your fix of Animal Radio anytime you want with the Animal Radio app for iPhone and Android. Download it now. It's made possible by Fear Free Pets, taking the pet out of petrified. Visit them at fearfreehappyhomes.com.
Check out Animal Radio highlights, all the good stuff without the blah, blah, blah. Browse on over to animalradio.pet.
If you're living with diabetes and using insulin, you know the pain of pricking your fingers over and over again. Ouch! Well, by wearing a small remote device called a continuous glucose monitor, or CGM, you can reduce the pain of pricking your fingers. If you administer insulin 3 or more times per day or use an insulin pump, call now and learn how a CGM can help you.
Painless. No more pricking my finger.
No finger pricks.
Convenience. They delivered it free, and they took care of all the paperwork.
You can reduce pain right away. Plus, it's accurate, easy to use, and helps you spend more time in range. And if you have insurance, you can get a new CGM at little or no out-of-pocket cost. Call now and get free shipping of your new CGM. Plus, we'll bill your insurance for you. 800-785-1673. 800-785-1673. 800-785-1673. That's 800-785-1673.
Hey, this is Big Ant from Rescue Inc. Remember, spay and neuter your animal, and abusers are losers. Now back to Animal Radio.
It's Animal Radio, and we'll head back to the phones in just a second. But I wanted to bring to the airwaves Brian Barczyk. And forgive me, I pronounced your name wrong before, and I apologize for that. Brian, you are the snake man. You have over 30,000 snakes in your facility. And we've been talking about this all up to right now. We think that you probably have a lot of ladies that are hot for you, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I always give that advice. If the young men want to get some chicks, they just pick up a bunch of snakes right now. I'm not sure that that's the best way to go, but I will say this: there are some snake groupies out there, so I'm not complaining.
See what I was saying, Alan?
See?
Well, Brian, you got 30,000 snakes. Tell us their names.
Well, okay. How long do we have? No. Ironically enough, I do have a few snakes I name. I don't name everything, obviously, but but I have a snake named Satan. I have a snake named Sunshine. So those are my two mascots, and they're the polar opposite. They're the good and evil for sure.
30,000 snakes. You must be a breeder. You do this for a living, right?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I started out as a breeder. I still am. You know, I mean, I now I do a whole bunch of other things, animal-related filming and all kinds of other great stuff. But yeah, we breed snakes for the pet trade. Basically, you know, we breed pet snakes. Is what I always tell people. And actually, I just clean snake poop for a living. But yeah, that's what we do.
Well, so I guess there's no spaying and neutering, because I know for cats and dogs, we try to discourage the whole going the breeding route. But for snakes, kind of a different story, right?
Yeah, it really is. I mean, obviously, you know, it's so different because the people that are buying a pet, you know, snake probably aren't accidentally going to have a litter of kittens, you know. So it's a very different situation. So although I wouldn't be opposed to spaying or neutering a snake because that's less competition for me, but yeah, at this point, there's more demand than there is supply for sure. What is the most poisonous snake you have there? Well, you know, I actually don't, and I'm going to correct you on something here. It's actually venomous snakes, not poisonous. But that's a nitpicky snake thing. I actually don't keep venomous snakes. I work with them in film projects, and I've done anything from, you know, inland taipans to tiger snakes to king cobras, all kinds of other stuff. But because we have a staff of about 12 people that care for the collection, including myself and the wife, I just don't feel comfortable, you know, putting them in a position where they have to, you know, handle something that could potentially kill them. So I personally choose not to work with them.
So do you ship these snakes all over the world?
We do ship all over the world. We ship, you know, literally in every country that allows export, we ship to. But what's really cool is that in this country, in America, you know, they've made it so easy. You can go on my website. You can click on a snake. It gets right to your door the next day, you know, FedEx. So it truly is snakes on a plane. They come right to your door. They knock on your door and say, hey, here's your little snakes.
Are there some snakes that are, say, legal in one area but illegal elsewhere?
Absolutely. You know, there's a lot of local municipalities that have different laws. Like, let's say New York City, for instance, has a 6-foot constrictor law. So anything that could attain 6 foot or larger, you're not allowed to ship to them. You know, so the majority of our snakes are corn snakes, king snakes, ball pythons, you know, stuff that stays 3, 4, 5 foot and are really great pet animals.
You make them sound like they're furry, warm, fuzzy little animals.
What makes them great pets?
They really are. You know, I mean, over the last 20 years in particular, they become so mainstream. You know, as a matter of fact, I've told people one of the amazing things on the show America's Got Talent on NBC, they actually had a ball python commercial for PetSmart. So that was pretty awesome, you know what I mean? So it's really become that mainstream where in primetime TV you see about, hey, come buy this snake as a pet.
So were you one of those kids that drove your mom crazy? You probably had the snakes all over your bedroom and all the aquariums?
As a matter of fact, I blame my mom for my 30,000 snakes because when I was a kid, I used to go out and collect garter snakes, but she wouldn't let me bring them into the house. So it wasn't until I was 15 years old that I got my very first pet snake that I could keep at home. And I told her if I could have just got it out of my system when I was a kid, maybe I wouldn't be surrounded by thousands of snakes.
Yeah, I'm thinking feeding 30,000 snakes.
Oh.
That's got to be a lot of mice.
Yeah, we go through about 250,000 rodents a year, and it costs about $200,000 a year just to feed the collection.
Wow.
That's how many times have you been bit?
I've been bit, dead serious, I've been bit probably 100,000 plus times.
Really?
You know, it's just part of the daily routine. And fortunately, I mean, one of the things I'm really so grateful about is I've never been to the hospital for a bite. There's been a handful of times where, you know, I've taken the super glue out and you know, bandaged myself up a little bit that maybe I could go get a stitch or two. But I've been really fortunate. And I've been tagged by, you know, 18-foot pythons, including my big girl named Satan. She's bit me 4 times now. And she's, you know, she's 200 pounds and 18 foot. So
that is love.
Battled with her
that
before,
is love right there.
But hey, it's all part of it.
Well, how many employees have you been through?
As you can imagine, I always tell people you can only imagine the colorful crew of people that, you know, come and interview for a snake job. I've been through a lot. You know, I mean, probably no more than McDonald's has been, but yeah, we go through a lot. But we have a really great crew right now. Most of them have been with me for at least 3 years, and I'm really blessed to have a bunch of great snake freaks around me.
Why isn't this a reality show? Why is this not on A&E?
Well, you know, it's really funny. We shot a show for History Channel a year and a half ago, and, you know, so they greenlit a show, and we shot a pilot, and they decided to shelf it at the end, and you know, I'm really not 100% sure why, but certainly if you live my life, everyone around me goes, oh, my gosh, this is absolutely incredibly insane, and I think we could definitely be the next Duck Dynasty, but hey, you know, that's up to the networks, that's not up to me.
Are you a married man?
I am a married man.
It's
okay.
Yeah, I would. You know, actually, my wife, we've been together now for 25 years, and believe it or not, she's hated snakes. Well, didn't hate snakes. She was terrified of snakes and wouldn't even come into my bedroom at my mom's house that had snakes in it. Now she's been working with me for 25 years, side by side, taking care of all the snakes. It's pretty amazing to see the transformation.
There you go. Here's your $5, Alan.
Yeah.
And they put an addition onto the bedroom in the mom's house too.
So yeah, exactly right. Yeah, exactly. It's really funny. We have snakes that we've sold for $125,000.
Wow.
So it's more like I put an addition onto my house from the mother-in-law's apartment.
Who buys a snake for $125,000? Really?
We actually sell to a few different types of people. We sell to people that are going to be obviously pet people. $10 to $100 to $300. We sell to people that are aspiring to be breeders. Hey, I'm going to invest this money and I'm going to try to breed it and sell more. And then, of course, we sell to celebrities and high-end people. So when a celebrity wants a really cool animal, they usually come to a guy like me and say, hey, what can I get? And they want that rare animal that might be $20,000 or $30,000 or $50,000. And I find that the rarer the snake, and what I always tell people is I do what I call paint jobs. I mix a little of this into a little of that to make this cool colored animal or cool textured animal. And that's what the high-end people really want.
What celebs have you had there?
Well, I deal with a lot of athletes. I'll be honest with you, probably the most high-profile guys we keep to ourselves. But I can tell you that one of the guys I'll tell you that's pretty open about is Leonardo DiCaprio.
Really?
Is one guy. Nick Cage used to buy snakes, no longer keeps them, unfortunately. But a lot of athletes. And we do a lot of football guys. We do a lot of baseball guys, a lot of hockey guys, a lot of TV celebrities as well, and a ton of musicians. I mean, one of my very good friends is Terry from Slayer. We've sold animals to Slash, from Guns N' Roses, and the list goes on and on.
Do you ever provide any snakes for movies?
I don't do much of it. Every now and then I get called in for that, but it's pretty rare.
Those are union snakes anyway.
Well, it's funny. He actually makes a great living, believe it or not, the majority of the time, not providing snakes, but getting rid of snakes off the lot. He goes out there and makes great money just collecting rattlesnakes so that the actors and sound crew don't get bit.
Is there any truth to the rumor that 10 of your snakes got together and tried to buy Miley Cyrus?
I have no idea. I think that'd be a little bit of a stretch.
There he is, Brian Barczyk. Check out his website, bhbreptiles.com. Thanks for hanging with us, buddy.
Oh, it's been great. Have me on anytime, guys.
We'll link to that over at animalradio.com.
Hal, you should really get a snake. They're wonderful pets, and I've been bitten 100,000 times.
He makes them sound like they're warm and fuzzy, like you just want to cuddle up in bed with him.
Yes, he's a lunatic.
You could sit there and watch TV and have one wrapped around your neck. That's kind of cuddly.
See, you're one of those ladies that'll like a guy with snakes, don't you?
Yeah.
I can tell. You like the bad guys.
Yeah.
Bad boys with snakes.
Bad guys. That's not bad. That's crazy talk.
Wow.
Can I just tell you a secret?
Yes. What's your secret?
When you asked him what celebrities had bought snakes from him, the three that popped into my mind were Leonardo DiCaprio, Johnny Depp, and Nicolas Cage. I am so not surprised. And also Sean Penn. I thought Sean Penn would have a litter. Dennis Rodman probably tried to buy a snake, but Rodman was too weird for the snake.
Dogs or cats, horse or emu, animals are people too.
A barking chihuahua in Lancaster, California got a cruel punishment when 5 burglars put her in the freezer as they rifled through her family's home. Roxy, the tiny chihuahua, is fine now, but she could have easily died. Her owner, Kimberly Holzer, was at work when neighbors called the police after seeing men jumping over her fence. Luckily, the suspects were caught a short time later. Holzer, who's pregnant with twins, quickly called her mother to check on Roxy. Police searched everywhere and couldn't find her until one deputy had a hunch to check a large freezer next to the living room. Inside, they found a near-frozen chihuahua and rushed her to the vet, who gave her a clean bill of health. The suspects were booked on suspicion of animal cruelty, burglary, and receiving stolen property. Holzer is happy to have her little dog back, saying, "Everything in my house, whatever's damaged, whatever's lost, is stupid replaceable stuff." But she's not. I'm Britt Savage for Animal Radio.
Animals are people too. Animal Radio.
How would you like to save money on nearly all your prescription drugs? We've set up a special toll-free number for the RX Outreach program. They're a nonprofit company whose mission it is to make prescription drugs more affordable to the masses. They don't take insurance, and in many cases, your prescriptions are even cheaper than your co-pays. They carry thousands of different prescription drugs, so whatever you're taking, there's a good chance they have it. No coupons are required, and this is not a discount card. It is pure savings on your prescription drugs. They specialize in generic meds for any chronic health needs you have. Call with your prescription and find out for free how little you can pay for your prescription drugs. Remember, we don't take insurance, so call right now.
800-689-0143. 800-689-0143. 800-689-0143. That's 800-689-0143.
Alan Cable with today's amazingly sweet love story watch.
It goes.
Owen's getting a little kiss from his dog. He's 7 years old. This is a story of how one little boy and a dog changed each other's lives. Owen has an illness that causes his muscles to constantly be tense, so it's very difficult for him to move around and do simple things. It's made him very shy and withdrawn. Well, some folks were searching for someone to adopt a dog named Hachi. He's a big Italian shepherd that only has 3 legs.
Hachi got hit by a train and then came to us.
Owen says it was a magical meeting.
First day I met him, put his head on my lap, and that's what happened.
Owen's family says he's a different kid with Hachi there, much more outgoing.
I'm really happy. Everything changed my life.
This is
Animal Radio, baby.
I'm Beth Stern on Animal Radio and Adopt from your local shelter.
You're listening to Animal Radio. Here's Hal and Judy.
Hi, who's this?
Name's Toby.
Hey, Toby, how you doing today?
Fair to middling, I guess, for a rainy day.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. We'll send some sunshine your way, okay?
Please do. I'm tired of this rainy weather.
Hey, I'm your sunshine here, Toby. What can I do for you today?
Well, I've got a 3.5 to 4-year-old German Short-Hair Pointer. I've had her since she was 8 weeks old.
Okay.
She's traveled with me on the truck ever since she's been 8 weeks old. And she has got just atrocious breath. Is there something that I can give her that will help that?
Oh, if it were only so easy just to give her something. Well, I mean, usually breath is a function of a lot of different factors. The most important thing is oral health. So if you got a stinky mouth from your dog, the first thing we always do is lift up that lip and see what the condition of the gums and the teeth are. A lot of times, what would be most useful is to address that. Does your dog need a teeth clean? Do we need to see about using some toothbrushing? There are some remedies we can try, things to add to the water to kind of help freshen the breath, but they are really just a temporary type fix and don't have as much efficacy if we don't deal with the underlying problem. So that would be my first thing that I would look at, is to get into some good oral hygiene where we're doing maybe some brushing. You can add some water additives to help keep plaque down in the mouth, and see how we can go with that route, because that's really that dragon breath that you get. And I can only imagine, that panting face sitting next to you for hundreds of miles and dealing with that. So that would be. Now, have you looked at your dog's mouth as far as to see what lurks below that gum?
Well, actually, I had a Chow Chow many years ago, and she got a bone lodged in her throat. And it almost reminds me of that, but this dog doesn't get any bone.
Okay.
I mean, it reminds me of that odor.
Yeah, and that is a nasty odor. I had my own dog who had a stick caught in his upper hard palate, and you can kind of miss those things. So sometimes it may start with a good oral exam. So if you're not seeing anything obvious, I would suggest have your doggy checked at a veterinary office, have them do a good oral exam. Sometimes some of those things we don't discover until a pet is sedated or under anesthesia. But I'm going to definitely say let's go to the basics of working with some good dental health and see where we can go from there. Sometimes also we'll look at diet. If we have a pet who has a lot of gas and teeth are in great shape, in some cases a diet change can help kind of change some of the production of GI gas that they'll have. So that's one thing else that you might consider if you get that clean bill of health with the dentist there.
Well, that might be it, because, I mean, like I said, she's been on the truck ever since she's been 8 weeks old, and she knows what styrofoam looks like. She knows what a white napkin looks like, and she knows 90% of the time, she will not eat. I've never seen a dog do this. I can put food down for her, put water down for her, and I can leave the truck. When I come back to the truck, that food has not been touched. She's waiting to find out if I bring her a treat. If I bring her a treat, she'll eat her treat. Then she'll gobble her food, but she will not touch that food unless she sees I've got something for her or not.
Yeah.
Well, we can see who's running the show here in your cab.
That's called the good enough syndrome. When it's good enough, the food's good enough. If there's nothing else that's better, she'll eat it. We have that problem here.
Y'all got me wondering about that dog food.
Yeah. Which one?
Blue Buffalo. Now, how do you compare it to I've looked at the labels on every dog food out there, and it all seems about 99.9% the same.
Yeah, and really, it's just really a matter of some pets with different diets will acclimate differently to them. So I'm not saying that bad breath is, necessarily a bad diet. So before you do that, like I said, I'd say pick up that toothbrush, pick up the phone, call your veterinarian for a good oral exam, and then start working on some brushing for those teeth.
I'll start that, and I'm actually headed home now, and I'm going to be home for at least a week when I do get there.
Could bad breath be the sign of something more serious going on down under?
It can. Yeah, definitely. There can be some other health issues, and, some pets can have kidney problems, liver problems, things like that. So that's why the mainstay is, if you're picking up a bad odor from your dog's mouth, really work with your veterinarian. Have them help you figure it out if it is an oral health problem or if it could be a sign of something more serious. So always a good reason to give that jingle to your veterinarian.
Well, it just flew right on by. I want to thank Mark Gomer for joining us and Brian Barczyk with all his 300,000 snakes? 300,000 snakes. Yeah. Only been bitten 100,000 times.
I thought it was 30,000.
Was it 30,000?
Sometimes I think I'm the only one on this show who listens to what people say.
Who is that guy over there? He keeps talking.
Do you hear something?
30,000 snakes, man. Now, who counts them? How does he know? How does he know it's not 29,980 snakes?
Don't forget to download the Animal Radio app for your iPhone and Android. It's a free download. You can listen to the show or ask our Dream Team your questions any darn time you please. And we'll catch you next week right here for more Animal Radio.
Bye-bye.
Talk to you soon. Bye.
I love you guys.
This is Animal Radio Network.